So Savitri was challenged by the cosmic dread, by the blank eternal. Well, actually, this challenge itself is a positive step. In the sense that had she not felt that dread, she would not have proceeded further. She would not have proceeded to do what she must do in case she wants to meet death and conquer death. So, in that sense, this dread is something which is playing a positive role in the yoga of Savitri. It is bringing out something which was lying there unattended in Savitri. It had to come out. And the contribution of this cosmic dread is to bring out that aspect for Savitri to take care of, to attend to it, you see. So, even the negative is something which is really playing a very dynamic, positive role in the yoga of Savitri. Had it not happened, had the dread not challenged Savitri, should I remain where she was? You see, that is important, static. So, although it looks very frightening, very disappointing in the first instance, but it is that which really brings out the dark personality which is lying there within us. You see. In fact, that is what exactly death does. Death is the promoter of immortality in this creation. It is death who is really promoting immortality. You see, is playing a positive role from that angle. In fact, in one of the letters, Sri Aurobindo speaks of death as the creator and destroyer of existence. Creator and destroyer of existence. He uses the word creator. You see. It is that which is coming out in play when you have to deal with the opposite of the supreme reality. So actually, in a way of speaking, this dread had no other business. Why should dread come out and challenge Savitri? Who are you challenging like that? No. Why? But it is necessary from that angle. And therefore a shadow of the negating absolute. Now this dread itself is a shadow of the negating absolute, negating the inconscient absolute. Is shadow. It is a projection. It is somebody who is thrown out by the negating absolute to challenge Savitri. Savitri's yoga has advanced to such a point now that it must come and play its role, its part, and that is what it is doing. The intolerant darkness traveled surging past and ebbed in her the formidable voice. So, that dread told Savitri what to do and all that, challenged, and is intolerant, it's not going to accept anything at all. So it traveled back, it's that formidable voice. It left behind her inner world laid waste. So all those gains of Savitri, the spiritual, psychic, the power which she has got established in the soul and all that thing, as if it has got nullified. It has become non-functional because that is of no use when you are now going to deal with the inconscient nature of yours. Born of inconscience, the material, the physical, the vital, the mental, You have to deal with them. It left behind her inner world laid waste. A barren silence weighed upon her heart. Her kingdom of delight was there no more. Kingdom of delight was in the soul, not in the physical. Not in the physical. But even that now becomes helpless. Only her soul remained, obviously, you see. Its empty stage awaiting the unknown eternal will. Now this is the beauty of it. Awaiting the unknown eternal will. See, both the things are happening of their own. The voice, the dread is challenging Savitri. The eternal's will is going to respond to that. It looks as though Savitri is not really doing anything. She has lent herself to all those forces. Yes, whatever has got to be done, you do it. Savitri is not really doing yoga. Somebody else as if is doing yoga for her, prompting, look, this now. She didn't wait for dread to come. Nothing happened. Same way, this eternal will, she is awaiting. It is the eternal will which will do whatever has got to be done. Then from the heights, a greater voice came down. In other words, we can say that Savitri is only a field, a ground, a battleground for the dread and for this eternal will to fight themselves out. They are there as if to fight themselves out. Eternal will and the cosmic dread. And Savitri is just laying herself open to all those things. Then from the heights a greater voice came down. The word that touches the heart and finds the soul. The voice of light after the voice of night. The cry of the abyss drew heaven's reply. Again, see, the cry of the abyss, it is not Savitri's cry. Heaven's reply, it is not Savitri's reply. They are coming to Savitri both, from this side, from that side. A might, a storm, same thing. Chased with the might of the sun. So Savitri is only a point, a focus, a field, ground, where all these things will fight out the issue. Oh soul, but Savitri's soul is the one which has to settle the battle. See, as if this cry of the abyss and heaven's reply, they need a focal point to meet, and that focal point is the soul of Savitri. Where they are meeting and the battle is going to be fought, soul of Savitri. O soul, bear not the kingdom to the foe, consent to hide the royalty of bliss, lest time and fate find out its avenues and beat with thunderous knock upon thy gates. So actually what it means is basically for both the forces, the adversary and the divine force, they are cosmic in a way here, cosmic dimension. They need for action an individual, and that individual here is Savitri. It is not that heaven is going to fight against hell. Where? How? In what manner? Night and day, they are going to fight out. Where? How? You need a focal point, an individual. And that individual here is Savitri. So the battle is to be here, you see. In fact, in all the battles like that, see, in the Kurukshetra battle, Mahabharata battle, we got Krishna on one side, Pandavas on one side, and Kauravas on the side. Actually, they are instruments for the action of the cosmic evil and good to come out and fight. And beat with thunderous knock upon thy gate. Hide while thou canst the treasure of separate self, your distinctness, your unity, your uniqueness, what is there, that you hold back behind the luminous rampart of thy depths. Till of a vaster empire it grows apart. Savitri has discovered her soul. The divine Shakti has housed herself in that soul, but she is still an infant, a baby, a child. It has to be protected. It has to be protected. And therefore hide that thing till of a vaster empire it grows apart. But not for self alone, the self is one. Content abide not with one conquered realm. Adventure all to make the whole world thine, to break into greater kingdom, turn thy foes. That is the injunction Savitri is as an individual. Now this is an injunction for Savitri as an individual. Because it is when she has done that thing, then only the cosmic forces can work and do their work in her. You see. Adventure all to make the whole world thine. Whole world, universalize yourself. Not for self alone. It is not for yourself alone. Content abide with one conquered realm. Yes, your inner being is now ready. You have housed this divine Shakti in it. That is one conquered realm. But that's not going to do. What about the outer? Adventure all to make the whole world thine, to break into a greater kingdom, turn thy foes. Fear not to be nothing, that thou mayst be all. Now this is the most crucial injunction. Most crucial injunction. Now, if this battle of the abyss and of the height has to be fought in the direction of the victory of the height, the condition for Savitri is that she should become nothing. She should become nothing. Fear not to be nothing. It is through nothing that you will be all. Now that is of course paradoxical to the mind. It looks ridiculous, you see. But it is true also. It is true even in the human sense. You surrender yourself totally to be all. It is when you are totally surrender, you get everything. So, in a certain sense, it is a kind of a greater selfishness. Surrender is a kind of a greater selfishness, you see. You surrender for a gain, you see.
Who's telling her that? Who's the voice? The greater voice?
Pardon?
The greater voice. Who is that greater? Is it her own?
From the height. No, from the height, from the Supreme.
It's not her own.
No,
higher self.
no. The divine Savitri.
So it is the higher self.
Yeah, yeah. It is divine Savitri's voice. Greater voice, yeah. It is she who is telling to human Savitri, the individual. You see. The transcendental Savitri is telling to individual Savitri. In fact, she is guiding the whole process. And she is watching. Savitri has discovered the soul. She has housed herself in the soul, the divine Savitri. She knows now that the response from below will be coming to Savitri as a challenge. She knows it already. It has to happen. It has always happened like that. Whenever there is a descent from above, there is a negative response from below. It has always happened, you see. So therefore she is kind of aware of it. She is watching Savitri, every part of it. So in that sense I was telling you that it is not really Savitri who is doing the yoga. It is the divine Savitri who is doing her yoga in the individual Savitri. You see. Yeah. But then she has a capacity to open herself to it fully, to her fully. See, I mean, she is watching all that thing. You want me to do that thing? All right, let me do that. See, that kind of a situation is there in Savitri, you see. She is not questioning anything at all. She has absolute faith, implicit faith, conviction, full confidence that whatever is being told to her is for her good. Ascend to the emptiness of the Supreme, that all in thee may reach its absolute. So by being nothing, whatever is there will become the absolute, the true. Your limbs, your nose, your eyes will become absolute, you see. Accept to be small and human on earth, interrupting the newborn divinity. So she is, as I tell you, she is a baby, infant, Savitri. The soul has just now received the divine power in it. And therefore, she has to guard that thing. That man may find his utter self in God. Again, this man is there. If for thy own sake only thou hast come, an immortal spirit in the martyr's world, this is what we were talking last time. Savitri is already an immortal person. She has taken the mortal birth for a purpose, you see. It is not for yourself you have come. You are already immortal. What do you want? What else you want? Nothing. Immortal spirit into the mortal's world to found thy luminous kingdom in God's dark. That's the whole idea of Savitri's mission. And in this sentence is contained the entire purpose of Savitri's mission of birth. Why she has taken the mortal birth? To establish luminous kingdom in the night. To found thy luminous kingdom in God's dark, in the inconscious realm, one shining star. One shining star. That is what Savitri is going to be in the darkness, you see. You have come for that. You have not come for yourself. You have come to found luminous kingdom in God's darkness. In the inconscious realm, one shining star. Well, actually, this one is important. In the sense that it is the only one. Yes. One shining star. She alone can do that. None else. None else. That is the mission of Savitri. Specific mission assigned to Savitri. It is not that I and you become like that. Maybe later on. But first, she alone. Yeah. In the inconscious realm, one shining star. One door in the ignorance opened upon light. Why hast thou any need to come at all? You don't need, because you are already immortal, you don't need it all. So it is not for yourself you are doing. My dear Savitri, you are doing it for the sake of this creation, for this inconscient creature, born in ignorance. It is for him you are doing all that thing, you see.